All right, so we're sitting here with Pretty Boy of Grand Junction. What's up, brother?
How's it going?
Going
Just
well,
ripping
man.
that Colorado.
Yes, yes.
Putting Junction on the map now.
I like it.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
A lot better. A lot better.
Feeling better?
Health was really declining for a while, and man, it really stuck me because I was at a very big point. And
so real quick, just so the audience at home that doesn't know, Gary, also known as Pretty Boy,
yes, sir,
is a rapper, and he was involved with some like pretty big things right before you started having your seizures, right?
That's right.
So we'll get there in a minute too, but we didn't really talk about that in the beginning, so people know what's going down with you and what you're about, because I don't, some of the audience that might be watching this might not know you.
I got you.
All right. So you were born in Junction, and you have siblings. Are you where you at in your birth order?
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest?
Out of three. And growing up, honestly, I never took handouts. I got my worker's permit at 14. Started working. I was don't want to skip too far ahead, but I tried out for the Grand Junction Rockies and made the team.
Wow.
Because my seizures, I had the general manager and the owner of the Colorado Rockies come down and say, you got to go 2 years without having a seizure, and hey, you already made the team, so you'll make it when you come back. But having seizures at that time, I still did what I had to do. I still got my license. I know it's not, see, there goes my thing again. It's not too safe to be driving, but at the time I was having seizures and I was still handling what I had to do, and growing up, trying to, become a man of my own. I was around my mom. I never had a dad in my life. He lived in Denver, Colorado, and he was a part of the Mad Hoppers. He'd lowriders and stuff like that. And I guess he, was the Mad Hopper of Denver. That was his name, and he got trophies 6-7 feet tall, and it kind of hurt me. Because whenever he passed, I got a trophy that was, not even the size of me at that time. And I'm not the type to pry or nothing like that. I was like, at least I got something. Right. And a memory was good enough for me. I had that for a while, and my grandpa's house burnt down. That went with it, and,
Were you close with your pops before he passed?
No, I never knew him, never met him.
You never knew him,
nope.
Never met him, huh?
I got a stepdad, and me and him, I really looked up to him because there was no male figure in my life besides me until I was about, 9. And I really looked up to him for a good year. Yeah. And he ended up passing away in a car accident, and a truck rolled on him. And ever since then, every male I looked at, I always looked up to, because I looked forward to seeing what I can do out of my life compared to what I could have done if I were to be the, hey, I want the handout type of person. And I'm like, hey, I can do everything. I played sports my whole life. Baseball is my favorite sport.
You went to Central, right?
Yeah, Central High School.
Yeah.
Graduated, class of 08,
Word.
I weighed about 209 pounds.
Wow.
And, as you can tell now, I went to a neurologist appointment yesterday and talked to my neurologist, and every time I went on the scale, it was 119, 124, 136. For the longest time, it was 141. And yesterday, when I stepped on the scale, it was 151. And
so you're gaining some weight.
I was like, wow.
That feels good, huh?
Like, one step is progress, and that's all I want.
You were raised by your moms?
Yep, pretty much.
Because you're in the music, your love for music, did that come from when you were a kid? Did she listen to music when you were coming up?
Nobody in my family had any initial relationship to any music at all, besides hearing it on the radio and copying it and everything.
Yeah.
And me and Rob Al, Callie Finnessy, and one of another homies, Dustman, we ended up dropping a couple hot tracks, and I was like, hey, let me, I was 14 at the time, only 14, so I started scribbling down some stuff like, I'm feeling that. Like, check this out.
That's when you started getting into rap.
Yeah,
when you were 14?
So one of my homies, Dustman, was like, yo, and, you know, shout out to Dustman because he's a doctor right now. And I thought
cool.
he was the best artist back in the day, producer, musician, and
obviously a smart dude, right?
Oh my God, I thought he was going to make it
right.
in the music industry. And I see, you know, on the phone now, because you can see everybody over the phones, because, you know, technology. So, you know, he gave me a shout out when my sister was talking to him, and he's like all suited up in his doctor gear. I'm like, yo, like,
that's cool.
Like, that is awesome. Congratulations
Hell
and everything. And, you know, at the time I was all scrubbed up and losing weight and not really doing good at, you know, and everything, because at that time I was losing a lot of stuff. But what really got me into music was that time when I was 14, and he threw me on a track. So he gave me the trust on his track.
That's cool.
You know, so I was like, if you're going to do that for me, I'm going to put my all. I'm going to do what I can for you. That's when I pretty much was like, well, hey, I am inspired. That's when my inspiration for music really didn't skip a beat and fade away.
Yeah.
I always kept it with me, and I'll be 85 and still be writing beats and
I feel the same
listening
way,
to people, you know, you know, just, it's like, I love it. It's for the love of the music, and I like hearing myself. There's a lot of artists out there that come out with music, and I'm not trying to, you know, dart on them or nothing, but it's not my style. I'm used to the old school music when we grew up, you know, because I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 1989.
Right.
So I was born in, you know, 1990s music, and then once it came to like the 2000s, like the music really started sliding off with, you know, like I used to listen to radio stations that would, just because someone would say a bad word, explicit, they would take their song off. Now it's like, you can play anything with anybody saying anything, and it's like, basically, you know, I got my kids listening to this. And, you know, I'm a grown man now, and I got 2 children of my own, and they're little boys, and one's 7, one's 9, Eric and Lucas, and Lucas is the youngest, Eric is the oldest, and I'm a father figure now. I never had mine in my life. So I'm like, I gotta do my job. When I hear them in the back seat saying the words, gotta change songs, or, you know, I've taught them what I teach them now, because I was going through a CPS case, and I just won the trial, finally. Yeah, and I just won the trial and got them in my life. And
what was that? Was that between you and the mother, or was that had to do with your condition?
Between me and the mother, and the biggest thing about that was they were trying to put on me, because it lasted about 3 years.
Damn, that's a battle, bro.
Yep. And the biggest thing that they were trying to say was my condition. You know, my health. He's not stable enough to take care of him because of seizures. And what me and my roommate Alicia did was, we took him, you know, I got my button right here, my alert button. We took him to the fire department, the police station. They made a call, you know, and it was cool because my son was like 5 at the time, Lucas, and he was making the phone call. And the girl was like, okay, this is dispatcher. And he's like, okay, my dad fell. And the lady's like, okay, well, what number are you calling from? So he's like, 911, you know, because, you know, he's learning. So it was, for me seeing that, it was a learning process.
So they actually are trained to, like, make a phone call, an emergency phone call. If something happens to Dad, they can jump on the line and
since
get your
this
help
is
right
magnetic
away.
And everything, I got them around all the fridges, everywhere I can, to where they can reach, and they know the whole process. Don't put their hands near my mouth, don't touch me. If my button's, you know, available, when the lady or guy comes on and says, Gary Nolan, did you fall? You tell him, yes, my dad's having a seizure. I can't touch him right now. And they're dispatchers.
I remember back in the day, you were because the seizures are pretty scary. I remember back in the day, it was a few years ago when we were working on some tracks. You were telling me that some of your homeboys stopped coming around because the seizures were just so like traumatizing to them. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't only homies. It was like a real close one of my best friends at through high school, you know, that I used to always, I want to say kick it with. We were like family. We were like brothers. We're always around each other, and, you know, it was hard because I had a seizure, and...
He was there?
He was present, and all he said was he heard, because we were playing some Call of Duty. Not a smart move when you're epileptic, but I was, you know, young, vulnerable to just, I want to do my own thing at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm playing some games. So I skipped to the bathroom real quick, and thank God my room and the bathroom were right there. So I had a seizure, and my head got stuck underneath some wood chips that were for a drawer, because the toilet was right here and the drawer was right here and everything, a small bathroom. My head, I don't remember nothing, but he went to go pull me, and the ambulance people told him, thank God he didn't, because one of the wood chips went inside my temple, and they're like, he would have bled out, and you would have killed your friend. And not only that, but he can, you know, they're scary for him, and there's a lot of family members that don't even come around because they know my
just
situation.
Witnessing the seizure, is that it's pretty heavy? Like, yeah, I can imagine.
Kind of like backed out, flaked on me and everything. And like I said, I'm not selfish.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think he...
Honestly, he stuck around me at that time for a good, you know, until that time happened, and then it was honestly like he just ghosted. Invisible.
But why do you think that was? You think it was just traumatizing to him?
Seeing a seizure
Yeah.
And they videotaped a couple because I went in for tests, and I couldn't even look at myself, honestly, because she was sitting there and she had the screen and she's like, do you want to, and I'm tried to look like this way, you know, started crying.
It's
like,
hard, huh?
You know, dealing with it, you know, is one thing, but, you know, to see it, let alone, you got to realize babies have it, dogs have it, anything with the brain.
Right.
And people don't understand that when you have a seizure, it's like lightning striking in your brain. And people don't realize it takes 2 to 3 weeks to a month just to
recover from that.
Recover. And
do you know where so let's kind of rewind a little bit back to the music before you started having the seizures. I would probably guess that you were probably later in your high school years. You were a football player, baseball player, and doing the music. Was that around the time that you were doing the Shoguns, or was that after?
Yeah.
So how did you get? Tell us a little bit about the Shoguns. I think a lot of people
it was all
don't
black.
know.
It was all black. Joseph, and I, you know, big shout out to them. Much love to them. They brought Al Nix and Al K in the mix and everything, and we had a pretty good producer.
How did they find you, or how did you guys link up?
If I can remember, I think just like Al K. Because
you were probably the youngest guy in the crew.
I think Lyrical is.
Okay.
Lyrical.
Okay.
Al K. And I think it was mainly me finding them off of the Everseen track, because I knew...
You were on that track though, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
First verse, and I knew that what they would bring to the table was what I needed. And
was that your brainchild, Everseen, or was that you guys a team effort?
It was just me.
It was just you initially,
and they just did their 16 bars and everything, and I pretty much, you know, me and Main Event West hooked up with the Everseen chorus along with the beat, and he pretty much hooked it up with, you know, good prices on beats that I bought from him. You know, a big shout out to Main Event West.
So you guys had that track Everseen. That was a hot track in Junction for that whole summer. I remember there was one summer it was playing on 93.1 all the time.
Yeah, Magic.
You guys were on regular rotation.
And it was, like I said, it was cool, you know, because that's where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
When you're an artist starting out, any type of position, even an old artist just doing something like that, hearing your music on the radio is like... and
a local crew being on regular rotation on 93.1, that's pretty unheard of.
Yeah. And that's what I would say that's what got us kicked off, was because a lot of people calling in, complaining to Rio and Max.
Syndicates. We got Pretty Boy, LK, L Nix. Yo, show them how we get it down.
You ever see my face? Get so pretty. So when I'm around, keep an eye on you.
Shout out to Rio and Max at 93.1, saying, hey, he's not signed. They're not signed to a record label. Why are they being played? Why are you taking these guys as you know, he would always be like, you know, call in for, you know, you want to hear somebody, you know, I'll even play that track again.
Right.
And 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, honestly, it would be played, you know.
So they actually took you off the radio because of the harassment they got from the community?
Yep.
And just haters, or do you think it was haters? Or?
Yeah, people calling in, telling him, and I know a lot of who it was.
Oh,
and,
that's cool, man.
you know, it's a small town, you know, word
Right.
goes around, but to me, I didn't, you know.
Did you guys, after Everseen and the clout that track brought, did you guys were you guys thinking about the next big track that you guys were working on, or did things kind of dissipate after that?
We were working on the Shogun's album and everything, and it's actually behind me right there. Strictly Business, and it was, you know, it was really up there. We were, you know, at the time, Black was really doing a great job with pretty much, let alone we had a good composer, Jose Robles, and Joseph was really helping us out, and not only helping us out with a lot of media and social and getting us out there, but he was starting to even get into music too.
Cool.
He was even starting to, you know, so it was like, this is cool because I can maybe even give you some insight, you know, in case, like, you see what I'm doing, you know, I'm always here for help in case you need, you know. Like, for me, my biggest thing about music is tell your life. Don't hear something and be like, oh, I'm inspired by that, and go and write it down and stuff like that. But when I did the Shogun's album, they pretty much brought me on that and helped me out with the Strictly Business, and it was... So
you did for them on the Everseen, and then they brought you in onto the...
Yeah, I had Everseen on there, and I'm pretty sure I had 30 tracks later, and...
So that was actually on the album that they put. They ended up using that as part of the album, and brought you in to work on that.
And it was like, you know, the beginning that I thought was not even going to end, and it came and went really quick.
How did it end?
Pretty much everybody split their ways. Everybody got, you know, we got older and stuff. Al Nix, I'm pretty sure he got a job, started working, you know, fending, you know, for himself, you know, how to put money on, you know, his pockets to, you know, do his own thing.
Yeah.
Lyrical, he is now a apprentice, tattoo artist at Static Inc. He's prime, you know, big shout out to him. If you ever want some good work done, to cover up anything, go to Static Inc., say, Pretty Boy said what's up, you know.
Right.
But he went there, and, you know, it was... Black and Joseph were, you know, they did, we did a good track, the Boom one that I remember, and that one was hot too. A lot of people were wanting that to be played on the radio, but heard the whole status about Everseen, and Max pretty much told me that, you know, Pinky and the Boom can't be, you know, composed onto his, you know, lineup and everything, and I'm just like sitting there like, not only one cringe but two. They always called me Colorado Golden Boy, and I always was grown up on that. And it's funny because I never started off as Pretty Boy. I started off as the Prospect, and obviously what does prospects do? You know, they go digging for gold. You know, that's a prospect. And growing in the game, I'd be on stage and people would be calling me Pretty Boy. Ladies would call him Pretty Boy. I'd be taking pictures of it. It honestly makes me, you know, my hair's going up right now. It was cool because I did a show after a car hopping show, and a young lady walked up to me and wanted my autograph, wanted a picture, but she couldn't stop crying. Wow. And you can go to YouTube right now and look under Pretty Boy Colorado on my live shows, and it's when they're doing the car hopping show, and it's after that, after I'm getting off stage, and it's doing, you know, the, you know, just walk arounds and everything, but she couldn't hug me or nothing. She would just, you know, was crying, and I'm like, so when I got off stage, you know, to me I thought it would be just like another quick, you know, walk around, you know, take a picture, sign an autograph, and then I seen her, you know, I hear about it, I see it on TV, America's Got Talent, this and that, you know, and she was crying, you know, and it was for me, you know, and she's like, I'm like your #1 fan, I'm your biggest fan, and she had another friend next to her, like, it's okay, you're okay, you know, and it was...
That's heavy, man.
It was...
How you can impact people like
yes,
that.
it was amazing, and I was like, wow, like...
So when did you adopt the name Pretty Boy?
I took it from when I was younger, about 16, 17, and...
You probably had all the ladies probably in high school and all back then, it was...
And, yeah, just doing my thing and, you know, really focusing on, because for LSU, I had a scholarship for baseball.
Okay.
And back when it was, wasn't Colorado Mesa University, and I was going to go to the college here, I actually ended up getting kicked out of college because of my seizures. Because
how old were you when you got your first seizure?
Oh, I was 7.
Oh, so you've been having seizures your whole life?
Yeah, I've been having them my whole life. And it's grown on me.
They started to escalate as you got older?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They escalated, I think, not only because stress, drama, and everything, but me putting, basically, like, I gotta compose and perform for myself because I have nobody to look forward to. And like I said, that was around the time, again, like when my best friend showed up, the one that I said escalated after the seizures really got bad. He showed up and he was like a brother to me. So for about 4 years, you know, it was really, really, really cool. You know, he was there for me and everything. And that happened, and that's when one of my grandma's seizures happened, and that was the biggest seizure I've ever had. And usually most of the seizures I'll, you know, just stare off, and you'd be talking to me, or...
You wouldn't even know it.
And then I'll be like, did you see that? Or something like that, and you know, and they're like, I've been talking to you for 10 minutes, are you serious?
Damn.
I'm like, why are you giving me attitude? Yeah, seriously, and it's a trip, and it's sad because my family members, like my own cousin, came into my room one time and was like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, how you doing? She's like, hey, you been, this and that, and she left 15 minutes later, you know, and I look at, you know, Alicia, my roommate, and I'm like, who was that? She's like, that was your cousin. And I lost 27% of my memory because when I went to Denver University at the hospital, I was supposed to go into 3 to 6 seizures, and they were supposed to test with my brain and everything where they were coming from. They put me in actually 16 seizures, and when I had right temporal lobe seizures. Now I have both right and left temporal lobe seizures because they put me into that much seizures.
So that messed you up even worse?
So when I came back, thank God, yes, it made it even worse. So when I came back, I was sitting at the house, got a phone call. One of the nurses, the lady's like, okay, I'm not, you know, HIPAA law, but I'm not inquired to tell you this, but this is wrong. I was just reading through your paperwork, and it, you know, you need to realize you'll feel different because you did not have 6 seizures. You didn't have 3 seizures. You didn't have 4 like they told you. And they told me they had them in 3 simulations, 6, 4, and 3 and everything. So I was like, okay, I had 3 spells and 6 seizures and, you know, 4 and then 3. And she's like, no, you had 12, 14, and 18.
Damn.
So she's like, they couldn't stop them. And what they would do...
They induced the seizures?
They put lights and everything, and pretty much...
That's like using you as a guinea pig, man. That's what it sounds like to me. And I'm a doctor or lawyer, but you know.
Yeah, and that's what they have to do to find out where the seizures are, and that's when.
And they never did find out. You only got worse.
Yep, and they, you know, even my neurologist, I've been to about 3 neurologists, and the third one I got is a charm, and her name's Marie Collier, and she's the best in Colorado, let alone Mesa County.
She's here?
She really helped me out in Grand Junction with my seizures, because Carius, my neurologist, gave me to her. Or her to me, in whatever sense you would want to look at that complex. And I was like, why? I already have you. You're a great guy. And I remember one time I had a seizure, and I ended up, it was when my grandma passed away, and I ended up having so many seizures, I ended up in the ICU with the tube down my throat. And when I woke up 4 days later, after my grandma's funeral, I didn't even go get to watch her funeral. First person I saw was Dr. Carius. He jumped up and he's like, he's awake, he's awake. He went in the hallway, and I'm over here like,
what happened?
Yeah, and just, I hear this, I hear that.
You were just like catatonic, like you were just like sitting there like that?
Yep, and I'm trying, you know, they had me laced down, you know, I can't move because, you know, I do certain stuff, and music was a big priority for me besides them, because I had my license taken away.
Right.
I was working at KFC. You know, my boss found out, he's like, you know, you work on the grill, you're pretty boy, right? Yeah. You want to be scarred boy? I know you do music. You know, he knew my thing. And everything. He's like, if you have a seizure while you're burning some stuff and your face goes, and he's like, he's like, so you're keeping your car here. I'm going to drive you home. I'm going to make sure no one takes it, have someone pick it up.
Right.
So he helped me out and everything. He ended up under the table, gave me some money. I'm like, I can't do that. He's like, I don't want to do what I'm doing.
Right.
You know, he's like, you're one of my good, you know.
So you lost your job, you lost your license, and then soon, probably around then, you kind of lost your ability to perform on stage, right?
Yeah.
Because of the lights.
I had a seizure.
I remember you were telling me about
stage,
that. Yeah. You did have a seizure on stage? Wow. Where was that at?
That was in Delta.
Was it?
Yep. And I was really working on performing, working on my way up to Montrose. Because from Delta we were going to Montrose, and it was total mix-up between who was driving and who was not. So, you know, the sober one out of everybody who can't drink, let alone I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I'll dab it up. You know, if someone brings in a joint or something, I'll be like, sure, take a hit or two, but it's nothing for me, because now my health and my disability is so complex. I don't drink. I don't do none of that stuff. That shit would mess you up, probably even worse than you already are. Just taking one little, you know, dab will last me a good 6 hours, and I'll be prone, feel good and everything, and, you know, be like, all right, well, where's another little, you know, Scooby-Doo, and scoop it up and, you know, be cool for her, you know. But if I didn't have that and everything, it would be me pretty much being sober and really being hard on figuring out what to do with different situations in my life. Yeah. Like, see, I got my training dog right now. We're training her to be my service dog. And she's probably in there because my thing keeps going off, and she's aware of that. Damn. Yeah. How you feeling right now? You doing okay? Yeah. We could wrap this up. Fine. I got a couple more questions for you, though. I want to talk a little bit about, we talked about the lights, because I know that was a big issue for you, not being able to perform. And, you know, we talked about your surgeries and your seizures and the whole story behind the Shoguns and that kind of falling apart, or everybody kind of going their own ways. What's, you're still doing music, and you're getting really back into it even more now. Absolutely. You were talking about that, so let's talk about... social media is a big thing. It's huge, and you can do that, everything from here, you know what I mean? You don't have to be out and about so much, especially with quarantine. A lot of cats are doing a lot of music and doing their thing from the home base. Right. So what's next for Pretty Boy? What is
What do we got to look forward to coming from you?
Right now, I just want to keep my name going and really get something out there like Ever Seen that had everybody's ears
Just get that
ringing.
hit. Yeah.
And even the people out there that love me so much couldn't stop loving me because they were like, look at him, his situation, just listen.
Yeah.
You know, let alone we need to know more about this person. And when you hear someone's music and you like it, it's like, I want to know who they are. I want to know more. What other songs do they have out there? And with me and Pretty Boy and being who I am, with Seizures really stalled that.
Right.
So I can imagine fans out there, let alone just random people who hear my stuff. And I have barely, maybe, you know, I have my own YouTube channel.
Let's talk about that. How do we get a hold of you? How do we get a hold of you if we want to hit you up on social media?
Like I got Rap Fame. I got a couple other, like Instagram and all that other stuff.
Tell us your addresses so we could, and I'll put the link in the description and also put it at the bottom of the screen.
For, let me see. Because right now, and I got it, you know, it's always popping, you know. I always got it popping off with
Rap Fame?
Yeah, I got
What's your address on there? How do people find you?
Pretty much look under Gary Nolan.
Gary Nolan?
Yep.
GaryNolan?
Yep.
All
and
right.
then one of my buddies I met through there, because that's one thing I want to meet other artists. He showed me another site called BandLab.
BandLab.
And that, I mean, 4 notifications already. It goes popping, and I just place, you know,
And
songs
just search
right
Gary
there.
Nolan on that too?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about Facebook? Instagram?
A lot of stuff right now that I'm going through. Like Instagram, I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay.
But YouTube, I'm starting to mainly write on Pretty Boy Colorado.
Pretty Boy Colorado.
Because a
YouTube?
lot of people call themselves Pretty Boy and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm like, yeah, I'm Pretty Boy, they're gonna look up Pretty Boy, and I've done it myself as being doing my own homework.
Right.
You know, I'm a fan. I want to hear this dude, and I'm just scrolling down, and I can't find myself until
Right.
I'm like on the 3rd page, and I'm
Right.
like, for me, that's the next big thing I want to do is make it to where when even they put PRE, just searching, it comes up Pretty Boy Colorado.
Nice. All right.
And they got video, and you can put that up, and you know, everybody right now, rest in peace DMX,
Oh,
you know,
shit,
Earl Simmons, you know, another hard one, 2021. I guess, you know, it's really kicking us in the back right now because,
Shit, yeah.
I mean, man, everything, like, I was looking forward to seeing the last Friday, you know, and it's like everybody in that cast is passing away, and I'm like,
Yeah.
just, you know, because I'm a big movie fan.
Mhm.
You know, one of my favorite actors is Adam Sandler,
Mhm.
Jim Carrey,
Mhm.
you know, Halle Berry's a great actress, and Jennifer Aniston. Oh man, if I can just see her, that would make my, you know,
Yeah.
day, you know, happy and everything.
Yeah.
'cause I'm a
Friday
fan.
Friday is not going to be the same without John.
Oh
Witherspoon.
no,
It's not going to be the same.
no.
All right, man. Well, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But before we wrap it up, I'm gonna put you on what I call the hot seat. Just some
All right.
questions. You just tell me. This is kind of the fun part. Kind of end out the interview.
Right.
So I'm gonna give you a question. You tell me kind of like what your response is to this. All right.
All right.
So you ready?
Yep.
All right. Here, first question right here. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince.
Prince all day.
Prince.
Why you say Prince?
Mainly because I know Michael Jackson's got that voice.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got, everybody's gonna pick Michael Jackson.
Right.
Everybody. But Prince, you got to be someone special to be Prince because he's made his music not only, he's himself.
Right.
I'm not gonna say, you know, Michael Jackson made it from his family and
Right.
from this and that. I'm not trying to underdown to, you know, all that.
Mhm.
But Prince, you know, I don't.
Plus Prince
you know,
plays guitar, so
he-
you know.
he's a Prince when it comes to the strings.
Yeah,
And-
he's just a great artist.
Yes.
I agree with that. Michael's dope. I'm a Prince guy myself. All right, how about this one? Tupac or Biggie?
Oh, really?
I gotta ask you the question, man.
You already know it's that Tupac.
All right, brother. I like that. What's your favorite food?
Right now it's Los Albertos, but mainly I go on slides between like Chinese food and stuff like that for a long time. Like,
you're Los J's right now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, big shout to Los J's, man.
Super fries.
You better get it. Better get it.
Right.
All right, man. What's your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness right now is not making an accomplishment for myself in life when it comes to waking up in the morning and just knowing that I have nothing to do and putting something on my plate myself.
No, that's hard. That's hard. What's your biggest strength?
My biggest strength is that I keep my head up and I keep going. I won't stop.
Beautiful. Favorite local rapper, past or present, other than yourself?
Honestly, I love Black.
Yeah.
Man, he's got that voice. He can hit those. He hits the beats. He hits that high kick, that tone. He comes up with the jams. He you know. Yeah, Black.
Black's old school
Black.
too. He used to roll that. Remember that gold Jetta he used to always roll? Was that's Black, right?
Black.
You remember that gold Jetta he rode?
No, I don't.
Oh man, that was way back.
I gotta
in the
represent
day.
Black because not only did he help me out, but you know
he's dope.
He.
All right. Why don't you give us a shout to the most influential person in your life?
Right now, it'd have to be Alicia Bennett. Right now, because even my neurologist says
who's Alicia? Is that your?
She's my caregiver.
Caretaker. Yeah.
She pretty much. I went from, like I said, 119 pounds to right now I'm 151, and every time we go to the neurologist, she always points at Alicia and says, "You're his angel."
Nice.
And
she's feeding you well, probably giving you some peace too. Peace matters, man.
So if it wasn't for her, plus I got my voice because of her, because she knows the ins and outs and she's been through it, and she really helped me out with my case. You know, I'm starting to go again because I'm getting a little, like, you know, I succeeded, but it's like, you know, I don't have them full time, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
But I at least get to see them. That's all I wanted, because I never got a phone call, a text, a picture. They're my kids.
Right.
I'm alive. But right now I'm just really focusing on music and trying to get that back in line to where I can make an album to where people can be like, "Oh, he's back."
Oh, I like that.
Or, you know.
Everybody loves a comeback, big bro.
You know,
everybody loves a comeback.
And
final question. Because I think my memory.
I talk too much.
No, my memory is about to go out, but I want to get this last question in. For the young cats out there, or the kids, maybe teenagers, the young people that are out there watching, and what advice would you give to them about anything? Like what message would you give to young people based on what
don't copy and be what you see. Be your own individual. Be your own self. Not everybody out there is the same, but they make themselves the same by comparing themselves to somebody who in their own zone is hot or is, you know,
they want to sound like somebody else.
They need to be them. They need to be themselves. Like me, if I try to sound like Drake and try to be all like this, or, you know, I try to sound like The Weeknd, I sing, you know, I can't do that. I need to be Pretty Boy. I got a deep voice. I need to come up with my real life lyrics that I really went through and I'm really living. And don't write something you ever heard from anybody else. Come up with your own original stuff every time. I mean, yeah, it's going to be cool to hear those hot beats and those hot, you know, skits of other stuff like that and everything. Learn off of that. Don't cop that and then be like, "Oh, this is me, this is all me." Learn from that, then make something yourself that's original that other people can be like, "Yo, that is hot." But my biggest suggestion is do you. Be you. Because, like I said, I used to call myself the Prospect. I grew up. People started calling me Pretty Boy. I'm riding with it still. And it's never changed. I'm not trying to be like, "Oh, I'm the best looking, this and that." You know, hey, I'm 31. I got 2 kids. Does it look like I'm, you know, out there like, you know, people would think, you know, a rapper would be and everything. And it's, my 2 kids are with the same woman. I probably won't ever have kids. I ain't ever getting married. I ain't got plans for that. My plans right now are my kids and music.
Beautiful.